what's on your mind.
Hello, this is Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics. I'm here with Piper's Adventure, also known as Piper Steed, who has written and edited a lot in Comicsgate. And the reason why we just jumped on right quick is because we're getting kind of pressured here, but it is what it is. You know, whatever. All right, man. Thanks for the reprieve. Thanks for the reprieve. All right, no big deal. Anyway, so there's a lot of all adult. I mean, a lot of adult properties in CG, and there's really not a lot of I would call all ages, and so when you find all ages property in CG, you usually want to kind of like pay attention, because I think it's a lot easier to write just for adults. And that's why you see a lot of Marvel stuff written, and it's supposed to be for kids. And it's like, this is adult stuff.
Yeah.
Because writing for kids is like a balance you have to maintain. And you find it's either way too fluffy, way too neutered, and like Teletubbies. I mean, Teletubbies just gave me the creeps, man.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm like, this is going to give kids nightmares. But it was like designed for like toddlers and stuff. And I'm like, there's going to be toddlers that will wake up in the middle of the night. Hello. You know, as adults, they're going to have like these nightmares, and they're not going to know where it's coming from. It's like, why did it have a triangle on its head? I don't know. You know? But yeah, I mean, it's like, we're doing it live. Yeah, we're doing it live, Aaron. Yeah. Designed for Satan. Right. But the thing about it is, though, is I think it's interesting when you see stuff that's like the stuff from my childhood, especially you see like the cartoons from Saturday mornings and stuff like that. And I go back and watch this stuff, and it holds up. It holds up very well as an adult, and for as it did for me as a kid. And it's like, oh, so what secret did they know then that we've lost now? Do you have any theory about that?
Well, I know that for one, it's probably easier for anybody to write stuff adult oriented, because that's what we are.
Right.
And so it comes natural. Like the story comes natural. You run the risk of slipping in like your own language usage, for example,
right.
or but it's actually easier, I think, to get to write for all ages than it is to write for just children.
Right.
Because there's a little less of a tug of war in there. It's put yourself in the mindset of you're putting the responsibility kind of in the parent's hand and in the adult's hand to decide whether or not they want to hand that book to their child of whatever their child's age is.
Right.
They should, you should hope that an adult's going to be entertained by it too.
Yeah.
And then leave it up to them as to whether or not, but make it, as accessible as possible.
Right.
Without feeling like you're stifling your story itself.
Right. Stats has a good idea. I think it's kids want the adult situations told in a way they can understand, so they can feel older. Pretty simple formula. Don't insult their intelligence.
Exactly.
Right. Well, when I go back and I watch some stuff that I enjoyed as a kid, it wasn't like neutered. It wasn't like the edges weren't taken off of it. There was like some real, there's some like real danger in some of this stuff, And I mean, there's like I remember watching the Transformers movie, and and here we are. We got like dropped off to watch the Transformers movie, and we all came out of it traumatized because it killed off Optimus Prime, and we're all like, Optimus Prime! Oh my god! And I remember kids just like sitting there like the next day, and they wouldn't even talk about it, to each other. It's like, He's like, "Did you see a Transformers movie?" "Yeah, I saw a Transformers movie." "Yeah, moving on." But but think about it is though is when I had like deaths later in my life, like traumatic stuff that happened to me later in my life. I felt I was more equipped to handle it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It felt like it wasn't like it was jarring, yes, and things that kids shouldn't go through, but I just had like a frame of reference. I knew what death was. Okay, I knew that that was a cessation of life. I won't be seeing them anymore, and
Yeah.
uh, and that came from like reading stuff with some of that in it. You know, Sean Davis, Pillow Man and Blanket Boy.
Oh yeah,
Welcome
yeah.
on, welcome on. Of all the people to talk to, you'd been on my list. uh,
I I honestly think for all ages,
mhm.
uh, all you have to do for that
Yeah,
is nip the overindulgence in stuff in the bud. So nip the
right,
gore,
right.
and watch your language.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
Hmm.
um, most stuff can be told in a way that most
Yeah,
parents will feel comfortable giving, their kids. If their kids can read,
right,
then
right.
they're generally it's easy to make parents or have something that parents will be comfortable having them. If you're writing specifically for children,
Yeah,
that's the big difference. You go at that in a completely different way
right.
because first of all, you don't need to worry about entertaining the parents.
No,
So if
no.
you write for children, you're coming at the project not going, how can I entertain, but what
Hmm.
do I want this book to be for? Do I
Right.
want to make a cute educational
Yeah,
book? Do I want to teach like a life lesson? Do I just want to make little kids laugh? Like
yeah.
that's how you need to come at that
Hmm.
when you're writing just for kids is what do purpose do I want this book to have
Right.
because it needs one for them.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah. I think it's being intentional about the lessons you want to teach. I think that's a good idea. You see a lot of this stuff that's supposed to be for kids these days, and it's so vapid. I mean, there's literally nothing that you teaching these kids like a
It's just
uh
bright colors and sounds on a screen
right, right.
and,
Or
and
you got
fart
I got things
noises.
that are just been so nihilistic that they actually have no morals to it whatsoever. They're basically
Oof.
teaching that the world doesn't nothing matters.
I feel
There's a
like
few of
that's
those
that's
like that.
right. That's great for teens. Teens would eat that up. No
Yeah,
teens.
right, right. Yeah, they want nihilism, right? Uh, hey, all you beautiful comic skate salvages in the chat. Hey, Geek
Woo.
Avenger, what's up, dude? But yeah, I guess when I think of things like yeah, I read people like Roddenberry when I was a kid, read
Yeah.
Twain, I read people like that, and the sexual content was not there, the
Oh yeah, I
language
forgot
was
about
not
that one.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the other one you got to remove. I knew there was
right.
another one.
But there's like sexual content's not there, the language is not there, and the gratuitous violence is not in those books.
Yeah.
But any adult can read that and pass it on to their kid, and the kid can read it. And because the adults not those like the three big no nos. The adults like get triggered by. I mean, there's a
And
lot of
adults
other
don't
stuff
need
though.
those either to be entertained. That's the beauty of it.
Honestly, no, they don't.
I don't need
They
that.
don't.
I feel like that stuff comes along when
Yeah,
it started coming along with the let's see how edgy we can get. And
yeah,
then it just became the kind of standard like
right.
this is meant for adults, therefore I need at least one of these three things.
Do you think that's what killed the comic book industry? Is when they started putting edge in everything and content and everything, to where the kids were no longer like within the window of people this was for.
Yeah. Uh Honestly, the comic book industry right now, those books are for the people that wrote them and no one else.
Oh,
They
right,
wrote those books
right,
for themselves and no
yeah,
one else. And that's
right.
they're learning that and
It's like
lashing
that.
out,
It's
very
like if
upset
you
about
look
it,
at it,
but
yeah. If you look at the narrowing of the audience started with that, it narrowed the audience up into the teens, away from the kids. And then they
Yeah.
narrowed the audience up into the adults away from the teens. And then they narrowed the audience to just them and their friends.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
it's like, and then they wonder why the comic book industry cannot hold itself up, why it's collapsing in on itself, because they narrowed the audience so much that basically the only people that are going to enjoy those comics anymore are people that are on the same in these enclaves that they belong to, you know.
Right. These very, very niche.
Right, very niche,
Yeah.
very niche. You know, Spider-Man, the spider chick is carrying a wheelchair on her back, and she's shooting webs out of her crutches.
Yeah.
Who's
That is so
this?
freaking specific. Yeah. It's like
There's like a handicap.
This is for that person specifically.
I'm
like,
wheelchair bound. I want my Spider-Man wheelchair. Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. That, you know, it's nice that they made the comic book specifically for like the 0.12% of society that might be in a wheelchair.
Yeah. They forget that, like, unless they still try to make it appealing to everybody else,
Right.
it's not going to do well just because they narrowed it down to. It's great that you're including people, but if you're excluding literally everybody else to include that 1%,
right.
you're kind of screwed.
This is good. Reading Richie Rich and Archie's is good as a research for kids comics up to a certain year, and then they completely destroyed everything, all the content in Archie's. All the Archie line just went completely woke after a certain time. So make sure you specify an earlier year. Hold on. LOL Spider Gimp. Sorry, I'm not PC. Spider Gimp.
Ooh,
Okay.
no.
Oh, no. Anyway, think about it this, though, is even when they did that, even when they like, quote unquote, did something to include someone, they don't understand that the people in wheelchairs do not want to be pandered to. They do not want to be treated like somebody different. They do not want that exclusion.
And singling them out like that, just reminds everybody, hey, these people are different. Right.
So by trying to be inclusionary and exclude everybody but this group of people, you don't even please the group of people that you're trying to please, because they don't want to be excluded from everybody else. So it's a zero-sum game. It winds up being a zero-sum game. It winds up it's for nobody. Anyway, stop at the 90s with Archie. I read other older runs when they were just kids. Yeah. Archie's went woke. Definitely. When they sexualized Archie and chasing Amy was the beginning of the end. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Hell, folks. Hell, Wolf, Mama. Hojo. Hey. I see in Rift Riders, I see this, like, it almost feels like this kid stole his mama's car and picked up his friends, and now they're going to go on this adventure together. And is that kind of a decent summation of what happened?
The characters would disagree, but I think it's
They're on a joyride. They're basically on a joyride. Seems.
They're on like a permanent vacation joyride kind of deal, and you'll learn better details, assuming that we succeed. And there's more books. Then during the books, you'll get to learn more of their individual backstories will come into play on how they met. Right. I like the. It's not the only way to do it, but for some reason I do kind of like the dropping people in the middle. We're gonna put you right in the middle of the action. They just got done having some fun. They're planning their next fun thing they're gonna do, and then they get thrown for a loop, and so does the reader at the same time.
Right. Well, it's like it's considered one of the greatest hours of television ever created. It's a Firefly episode where Miles, like, in this dead ship, he's waking up in this dead. The ship is dead and nobody's there, and you don't know how he got there, and he's like beating all the crap, and you're trying to figure out what happened, and the whole thing is him basically trying to get the ship rebooted so everybody can come back on board. And but it's a really but dropping people in media res like that, and you're like, so now you have like, you're worried about him, you're worried about the ship, you're worried about everybody else, and then you're just glued to the story to find out what happened. And then he go, and so yeah, it's a very powerful storytelling tool that not everybody like uses. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of storytelling things that have kind of gone by the wayside, that used to be commonplace. Used to be, the use of flashback is now become so clunky.
Yeah, it's been used so much too,
Right.
that it's become cliche.
Yeah.
Like, that used to be the number one way. I need the reader to know this information, and I don't want to just write a paragraph. I need to show them flashback. But it's used so much because it's like the easiest go-to.
Right.
That now like, readers will start rolling their eyes like, oh boy, it's a flashback.
Oh, it's a flashback.
Oh, great, cool. At the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, if you want to show something that happened in their past, that's still
right.
The easiest way to do that. But you have to kind of reinvent the flashback almost, in a way.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, you use a flashback, but don't make it feel like, oh, flashback time again. Like, you're gonna have to make it like just as engaging as the current story, and not feel like we're pausing a story
right
to remember things.
Well, when I wrote a children's it's basically a sequel to Harry Potter, and I took his son Albus Severus Potter, and brought him into like basically got him his own like core group of people, and one of them was Draco's kid, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but and Hermione's daughter, because they were like real friends when they were meeting the train, and so I had them like in this trio, and this is a really great trio of characters, and I kept getting this compliment: "You write kids like kids," and that comment, it's kind of like, I was like, so I see this. It started making me look around, and I realized that that's not really a common thing now. That people don't write kids like kids.
Yeah.
That kids would respond, kids would react. I mean, you got like this Dakota Fanning basically made a career off of being a little tiny girl who recited long strings of facts that no little girl should, or that showed like a cognition that no little girl should have, and she was real good at it. But then you see interviews with her, and she's like this little giggly girl. Oh, yeah. But then she'd be this self-serious thing, this kid that's just like rattling off stuff and being the adult in the room, basically. That she made a career off of that. But when you write kids like kids are, kids are obnoxious. Kids are short-sighted. Kids are really, really selfish. Kids and kids also are very emotional little beings because they don't have the brain function, the frontal lobe advancement enough to be able to keep their emotions out of their actions.
Yeah.
And so when you write kids, if you want to write them with some authenticity, you have to write them as little shits, basically.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, they can have moments where they have confidence, moments where they like get beyond themselves or learn something, but mostly you got to write them as little shits. They essentially got to be little obnoxious shits. I mean, that's because that's what kids are. That's what we all were when we, before we grew up. And remembering that it's a really delicate balance.
Yeah. Especially if you need them to get from point A to point B in a plot, but you're like, but this is a kid, so a kid wouldn't think about this. How do I get the kid to realize X, Y, and Z? They gotta figure it out. Because right now they're busy spitting spitballs at each other in class. How do I get them to like stop being little shits long enough to,
Right.
to
Right.
you got to kind of lead them on the plot, and it's a lot of
Yeah.
actions and consequences building up. You
Right.
got to just give them like a big series of them to
Mhm.
get them where you need to go.
Right. Hello all, Belmont Press. Amen. Belmont, if you could mod for me, I'd appreciate it, man. Rift Riders and the other links are down there. We'll want to cover that in a little bit. But one thing about that is, like, if you read Huckleberry Finn, Huck,
Yeah.
for the most part, makes a lot of mistakes along the way. He does a lot of really stupid things along the way, and he pays consequences for them. But if Mark Twain just showed how brilliant of a writer he was, because he didn't make the right choice every time, but he was kind of like carried along by everything else, And but when he did make the choice, the show like made choices early on that were wrong, but as the book went on, he started making the right choices as it went on. And so any kid reading that is going to like say, "Oh, okay. Well, this was a bad choice and it caused these consequences. So I apply that to my life. If I do those things, they will cause bad consequences for me." And so
Yeah.
these choices he made later on, like he stood by Jim, he had integrity, things like that, things he didn't do earlier on, and things improved for him. He had better consequences, better outlets, or better outcomes. And I think as you write children's fiction, you really have to be mindful to teach those consequences, or to teach the way the world really works. Because if you like give a child a fiction that's basically lying to them about how the world works, you wind up with these green-haired idiots on the internet screaming into the void. That's what happened to them. Nobody taught them how the world works, and so now they have these assumptions about the world that are not being backed up, and so they're screaming in this frustration and cognitive dissonance, and just like, and they don't understand why is this the way, why did that happen.
How come before I left home I got everything I wanted, and now as soon as I hit adulthood, I can't just get what I want when I cry? What is this? And society is what's really sad is society. A lot of it is bending to letting them throw tantrums and giving them what they want for throwing tantrums. It's appalling to me that's like normal to them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm sorry, but as an adult, if I threw a freaking tantrum in front of anybody, I can never show my face ever again. Like, that's you guys should be embarrassed. Why aren't you? Like,
right. This is a good example. The Bridge of Terabithia is a perfect example of how to write kids. You believe that they could create an entire world and act the way that they do. Yeah, but it's that's a tough read. It's a tough read. There's a gut punch on that one. But think about it, that's good. That's good. It's good for kids. And
Rift Riders is kind of easy mode in the fact that all the characters are technically adults, but one is trapped in a kid's body, and is the awkward 13-year-old's body. So he's got that to contend with. He's gonna get treated like a kid fairly often. It's a complex, all that good stuff. And then the other two are still young enough adults that they're still in that goofing off phase.
Right. So the one that looks the youngest is actually the oldest one?
Yep.
That's hilarious. That is real hilarious. I like that. Love that. Greek Adventure says, I grew up with only first, second, and third place.
Right?
Yeah. You didn't win. Kids who threw tantrums weren't disciplined for it, or now adults throw tantrums, but I came in mid sentence.
Yes, but you are correct.
You are correct. You're
Yeah.
absolutely correct. So I remember when I was I was very uh, uncoordinated as a kid, very uncoordinated. And
Same.
we had these field days, about once or twice a year, and it's basically, you I think they ended field days because so many kids were being upset by not winning.
Oh,
Of
jeez.
course, but anyway, but at that time, but I remember I decided there was just one thing I could win the had to put an egg on a spoon and you had to get it across, right? And I decided that was something that I could do. That I could do that. I could do that, right? And I practiced at it and practiced at it and practiced at it, right? And I would just like put it on the spoon and I would just like walk it, very carefully all the way to the end. And I just assumed that everybody else would like drop their egg or just lunge, right? And so that was my theory. And I was determined I was going to win one ribbon. I'd never won a ribbon. I was going to win that one ribbon, right? And I practiced and practiced and practiced. And so when the day came, I carefully walked it all the way to the end. But the two kids were lunging and dropping it, lunging and dropping it, lunging and dropping it, got there ahead of me. So I won up third place. But I was the only one that kept the egg on the spoon the whole way. If that was the rule, I would have won. But
Nice.
But I got a third place ribbon, but it was like I earned that damn thing. I was so proud of it, Third place, all right.
I got a little fake gold medal thingy for one.
Yeah.
Because I had really, really, really bad childhood asthma. I had to breathe on a nebulizer before bed every night. Like I had emergency inhaler. And yeah, I wanted to win something.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a field day. It was like this walk-a-thon thingy. It was weird. Had to walk so many miles in so much time.
Right.
Which was counted by going around and around the track.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted that fake ass gold medal. That cheesy fake gold medal. I wanted one.
Right.
And I had so many left. And like there was an adult counting for each kid that would sit there and keep count of each kid.
Right.
And the one that was counting me, I would go by, and at some point, like she started going, "Hey, you can stop if you want. You can you can stop." And I was like, "No, I want this medal, right?"
Right.
So I kept going,
Mm-hmm.
And that changed to, "You really need to stop. It's time to stop." And I'm like, "I don't have enough. I'm almost done. Like, I have like 3 laps to go or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Leave me alone. I still got 3 laps." So then they almost grabbed me basically. They came and forced me to stop and was like, "Do you hear yourself? You're like barely breathing. The fact that we're all way over here and we can hear
right.
Like we can hear you wheezing.
Right.
You look like you're about to turn blue. It's time to stop." Like, and they're like, "This medal's not worth it."
But it was for you, right?
It was for me, man. I was about to die for this crappy medal.
But they didn't understand that was like your Rubicon. That was your Mount Everest. You were going to climb this damn thing,
Yeah,
And
like,
you're going to achieve it. You're going to achieve it.
Right? I'm like, all I have to do is walk around in circles in a certain amount of time. Come on, let me finish.
Right. Exactly. Anyway, let me see here. Blue Samurai says, "Got the stream marked for later. Gotta go." Thank you, man. Drive safe. This one says, "How dare them let you steal your thunder?"
Right? I know, right?
I know. Seriously. This is a good question. What's your strategy for marketing a book for kids in the CG community? Well,
not titties.
Not titties, no.
It works for some. It's not. I'm not going to try it though. It has worked for some selling kids books, but I'm not. Yeah. Oh my! I'm not going to try it. I'm not going to try it.
No.
I don't think it'll work twice.
Buy my book.
And I'm not making fun of, like, I respect the hustle for
Right.
real.
Right.
The
Yeah.
only thing that rubs a little bit wrong is the fact that that one was a kid's book. But
Right. Right. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, I also like agree with the, well, it's not the kids buying the book; it's the
Their
adults.
parents. Right.
Yeah, it's their
Right.
parents buying them the book. So
So
I
you're gonna
gotta
appeal
appeal
to a
to them.
pervy dad to buy a book for his kid? Hmm.
Hey, this
Hmm.
one, like
Hmm.
again,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, the strategy here, a lot
Yeah.
of it is to stress that it is not a kid's book; it's an all ages book
Right.
because there's a big difference.
Yeah.
And I don't think people think about. I think too many people think kids book when they think all ages book,
Right.
and
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like, no, it just means that
A
it's
kid can read it and
appropriate
not
enough.
see stuff that they shouldn't
Yeah,
see.
it's
Right.
appropriate enough for anybody to enjoy. So I'm
Yeah.
not writing down to people. I'm
Hmm.
writing a book that I would like reading as an adult.
Right. Right.
Um, but that I wouldn't mind handing to like any kid and saying, "Hey, check out
Right.
this comic."
Right. 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 Right.
Med
This is
magazine around 12. Yeah, see,
yeah. Right.
that's why the big thing about an all ages book is I am selling it to the
Hmm.
parents, but I'm selling it to the parents not as a here, buy this for your kids.
Right.
It's a here, I think you'll get a kick out of this, and your kids will too.
Hmm. Right. Right.
Share this with your kids. You don't have to buy it specific. Now, if you're not into comics,
Yeah.
but your kids are, and you think
Hmm.
they would like it, then yeah, I'm marketing to your kids, but I'm still marketing
Right.
technically to you. I'm marketing to the adults.
Yeah.
Um, with I think the adults
Hmm.
are going to enjoy this book.
Right. Right. I think Tug probably does that better. He's probably the top all ages book purveyor in CG, or at least near CG, adjacent to CG. Uh, but
Yeah, I need to ask him. I need to ask him if
yeah.
has
Hmm.
just specific marketing tips for the age group that
Right.
reminds people that it's appealing for everyone. I think his edge
Hmm.
is that the book is starring him and his kids.
Right. Right.
Um,
And it's
and
also
he
got
already
that
has his personality behind it. His like
it's also got the
character.
Lovecraftian mythos, and
Exactly. Yeah.
so that's definitely an in. He'd probably have you on. You and Luke, he probably would have you guys on.
You think maybe?
Yeah, Lola's in our group. She would at the very least she'd have you on her show.
Oh
But
she's extended offer. We
mhm,
just have to coordinate
right,
times.
right. Yeah, she was offering Luke last night, but he's like he'd been up all day, and he's like, oh, I can't do it, I can't do it. So,
Yeah, tired. Yeah, I seen
bless
that
his heart,
later.
bless his heart.
I feel bad because I actually told her that I would.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
she was like, after the high stream, you
right.
want to come over to my channel and
Yeah.
talk about Rift Riders? I was like, hell yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't know how. Right, I didn't know how long the one stream was gonna last, and
Yeah.
I was exhausted by the end of it. And I'm like, well, shoot, because I'm still getting over COVID. I'm like, I'm already all
Right,
tapped
right,
out.
right. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. The high stream, man, that lasted a while. I was like, how's that going to go? Wasn't entirely sure how that was going to go. With Luke being a pastor and everything, and
It
being
was
on
a
the
lot
weed
of
show.
fun.
But
Luke is like Luke can put up with me,
yeah,
and he knows
mhm,
I'm not religious, and so
right,
he knows
right,
that like stuff falls out my mouth
yeah,
plenty. And then I'm like, at the
mhm,
very beginning, I would just be me, and then I'd be like, "Oh, sorry, man,
right,
no
right.
disrespect," and he's like, "I don't care,
Mhm.
that was funny," because I used to try to like, watch my
Right, right.
mouth, all
Yeah. Well,
sorts of
oh no,
stuff.
Luke is definitely the cool guy. He definitely is.
Yeah,
This is a good idea. Just like the Incredibles. Incredibles is probably the best all ages superhero property I've ever seen. When I saw that movie, I mean, the cookies were right there on the bottom shelf. Every kid could enjoy it, but there was enough left in there for the adults to
yeah.
really have a good time. I did a like a party, and I knew all kids there was gonna be kids there, and their parents were gonna be there, and I played that video, that movie, right, and there's people like, oh man, you're playing a cartoon. Why are you playing a cartoon? And I was like, trust me. it'll work. And then the same people that were complaining to me were like into it halfway through. They're like, it's like, oh crap, we gotta go. What's the name of this movie? I need to see I need to see the rest of it, you know. But
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I
Piper
mean
Steed
they
is
they
another
they
good
got that balance
example.
right. They got that balance perfectly.
Yeah, I
Perfect.
think could be it's not Pick DreamWorks. I think they know what
Mhm.
they're doing.
Right.
Uh,
Pixar. It was Pixar.
was it Pixar?
Yeah.
Because I know
Before Disney got them, but it was Pixar.
DreamWorks did Shrek, and
Yeah.
yeah, and Shrek is another one. That was an example of they know what they were doing. They were
Yeah.
making that for adults, disguised as a kid movie, and I
Right.
think it was great. Uh,
Mm.
or it did brains dying. Yeah, I cannot smell correctly.
Right. Yeah. Cannot smell correctly after COVID. Yep,
Yeah,
gotcha. And Kung Fu Panda. Yep, Kung Fu Panda was a good one. Was also
yeah,
it definitely walked that line. If you got a property that is all ages and you know, I think it's really important to make sure that that and take that you take the right stuff, leave the right stuff out, and leave the right stuff in. And the thing that you should never worry about is thematically don't nerf the themes in your property. Don't nerf them.
yeah,
You know, because kids need things that are more complicated thematically to help them grow into
yeah.
this
Make
world,
them
which is a
think.
very complicated world. So themes is don't worry about being too complicated with your themes. Just leave the smut out. Yeah, leave
Yeah,
the violence out. Leave the things that are really ephemeral and don't matter. And it's been too focused on these days. And just and leave it as thematically complicated as it is. Just tell the story, right? Because story is the most important thing.
yeah. Your time, you're essentially you're
Hmm.
telling uh your same story. You're just taking off all the fancy dressing that is there
Right.
specifically to attract only an adult audience. You're just taking
Right.
off the sex,
Yeah.
and the sexy, and the gore, and
Hmm.
stuff. You're taking off that stuff that you don't need for your
Right.
story. That is really, it is window dressing.
And instead of profanity, just put like X, the curl and X thing. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
Grolix.
yeah,
So
yeah.
some
I mean,
Grolix are or you can just uh
yeah.
make up words that are
Active thing.
profanity in their
Yeah.
language. Like make up for like your fake profanity. So they still have a
Right.
word that they're
Right.
exclaiming, like they're calling you something not nice, or they're exclaiming something not nice. You can still have that.
Right.
Uh
Right. Right. I still tell people shiny all the time. Shiny. What do you mean by shiny? It's like if you know, you know. Or Gorom. I use Gorom more than once. It's like did somebody just scratch my Gorom car? From time to
yeah.
time. But yeah, I mean, it's all part of it. It's all part of. A kids can dream way better than adults can. And so you don't have to like say, oh, this plot's too complicated, or oh, the world is too complicated. I've got to like simplify this stuff. Don't simplify a darn thing.
Don't treat your
Don't.
readers like they're dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're not. They
They're
might be
not.
young, but they're not dumb. So do not treat your readers like they're dumb.
Right. Right. I remember toys I used to play with being really complicated. I mean, we used to play these board games that were like, I didn't play shoots and ladders. We played like Monopoly, right, and things like that.
Yeah.
And it did. At least you played until somebody got upset and then flipped the board.
Yeah, I don't know if I've
That's
ever
a
finished a game of Monopoly.
because inevitably somebody's like, "I let it on the hotel." Ah,
Yeah. Screw
always,
this
always.
game.
Screw this game. I'll screw all of you. Uh,
Fake
uh,
cheating.
Yeah, you're cheating. You're cheating. It's like, hey man, I'm sorry, I got a motel on Boardwalk. What are you gonna do, right? Right. Anyway.
Sorry, this game just happens to mirror real life that well, man. Yeah, the bank always wins.
Yeah, there you go. It always does. It always does. There's more truth in the first movie than the second, I think, in Kung Fu Panda. Don't kids want cool stuff 3 to 5 years ahead of their age group? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they
Yeah,
want
kids
to
are always
feel
looking
like
for
they're
that.
being something
Mm-hmm.
edgy with it. Doesn't have to actually be edgy.
Right, right.
It just has to be like I said, something your parents like on their own.
Earthquake, yeah.
Yeah. And then they can be like, oh, well, this is
Uh,
my dad's comic. He was
yeah.
reading this, and now
Mhm.
I'm reading it too because I'm
Right.
a big kid.
Okay. I've the other guys know about this, but my favorite comic of all time, the one that's influenced me the greatest, is the Power Pack. You know who the Power Pack is, right? From Marvel, the kids power group.
Huh?
Yeah. Well, there's a
Marvel
kid.
Power Pack.
Yeah, it's called the Power Pack. Nothing later because they eventually got around to destroying them too. But early on, there was a real flips the Game Boy. Yeah, that's what happens, man. But there's this group of kids, and they all like got these powers, and it's just this family. It was this little tight knit family, and they were like squabble like siblings. They were just like, but they got these incredible powers, and they put them in the middle of the mutant massacre.
Oh,
And when I saw that, I saw that in the comic book store. I was like, holy crap! How in the world are they going to do this? I mean, because I've been following the Mutant Massacre, and it was just horrific. It was just one of the worst, one of the hardest storylines to read. I mean, it's just really, but it is. There's nothing good happening down in those tunnels, and I was like, how do you put these kids down here and keep them kids? And I was intrigued by that. And not only did they keep them kids, but they kept them safe in a way. But they still put them in danger. But you never felt that they came out of it in ways that were like not. There was no like intervention or anything that you were like, oh, that kid would have done that, or everything that happened made sense. And then eventually, they were basically told, get out of these tunnels, but they went down there to save their little friend Leech. And so that's why they went down there, to save their friend. And then they had to tell their friend that they passed his mama dead. And so the woman that was his mama, that took care of him. And
oh,
they didn't even shy away from that. And
yeah,
it's just a master class in how to take people on a journey, with kids, and keep the journey, like keep it, like, never break the fourth wall, or there's never a moment where I was like taken out of the story. And there's this even a real great little subplot where they switched their powers were like scrambled right before the story, and they're all like trying to figure out their new powers in the middle of all this, trying out their new powers. And the younger brother and the older brother had this really cool like dynamic where the older brother is always telling the younger brother that he's an idiot, and always
yeah.
bullying thing. And he got this power, and he was like just exploring his power, and he was just doing incredible things. Like he punched this chick out, that this named Arclight. She was just brutal chick, right? And she tried to hit him, and he managed to dodge her. And she's like, hold still, you little brat. And he's like, okay, lady, you asked for it. And he like charged his fist with all this gravity power and like punched her. Like, it was beautiful. The way they drew it was just beautiful. But it was like a cheering moment. It's like right in the middle of all this. And this oldest brother was like just talking about to himself how good his younger brother was at this, and how he sucked and his young brother was so much better than him. But he's never going to tell him, right? And it's
Yeah.
just like interior monologue, and it was just genius. I looked at it. I got like a digital version of it. I need to get a physical version of it, but I looked at a digital version of it like a month ago, and I was just as inspired by it. It holds up perfectly.
I just went looking.
Yeah.
Power Pack managed to go completely under my radar, but
Hmm.
I didn't.
It's
Get
worth
into,
a look. It's worth a
I
look.
didn't get to Marvel until
Hmm.
a lot later.
Yeah.
So yeah, they managed to go right under my
Yeah.
radar.
Yeah, that's definitely, if you haven't seen it, you need to get a few and look at them. That probably right down your your alley. It's really good. It's a really good series. I don't know who wrote the storyline. I know Chris Claremont was like over everything, overarching everything. But so if he didn't write it, he was definitely involved in it. One second, let me make sure I get this right. This won't take but a moment.
You in Imperium, the original
Mhm.
Teen Titans cartoon, that they ended up making, turning into Teen Titans Go.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
actually inspired the art for this
Oh
book,
wow, yeah.
without being a direct
Right.
knockoff.
Uh, yep. Jim Shooter was the editor. Writer was Louise Samuelson. Louise Samuelson wrote it. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. Yep. She designed a lot of those characters that we know as X-Men. But she wrote it. She was like the secret weapon of the X-Men office. And she's a lady. She was a lady, right?
Heck yeah.
But it was the Power Pack. They're all called the Powers. Jack Power, Alex, Julie, Katie, and Franklin Richards was part of them at that point because it's the X-Men had gone missing. I don't know what was going on, but he was like part of them at that point. But yeah, yeah, it's incredible series. Incredible series. Definitely look it up. Louis Samuelson, Shadow Punk. All right. Started reading Spider-Man when I was 10 years old. I was going through a harsh period of abuse that literally saved my life, having the escape. We don't always realize the power of stories. No, we do not. That's an awesome story. Thank you for sharing. Uh, it feels incredibly grown up to see stuff that obviously isn't cutified like Teen Titans Go. The first Teen Titans cartoon is really popular with kids. It was.
I loved that cartoon. I
And it
watched
was
it with my
heavy. It had
son.
some
Yeah.
heavy themes in it,
Yeah,
man.
it's one of those that didn't pull its punches
No,
and
it did not.
definitely appealed to all ages because I loved
Mhm.
watching it. I watched it with my son.
Well, the whole thing with Tara.
Yeah,
I mean, that they didn't flinch away from that. I mean, the whole thing with
a lot
her.
of the stuff with Slade
Yeah, Slade. Yeah, Will
would
Slade
get really
Wilson.
deep.
Right, right. Weasel. Weasel. What? I don't even know what that is. Imperium Vole. I don't know who that is. All right, Wheezy. Oh, Wheezy. Okay, gotcha. Sorry. Power Pack was really cool. It was almost like a bit like Narnia at first outing the two brothers and the two sisters. Yeah, it was really good. How long did it take to write and draw Rift Riders? Good question.
I do like that none of them look related in the slightest, though. Like
No,
they
they
look like the
don't.
Burger King Kids Club, but
No, they
nobody's in a
don't.
wheelchair.
No, right.
Oh, how long did it take?
Hmm.
Well, let's see. Rift Riders, the first 5 pages that
Hmm.
kind of had its test run with different art and colors.
Yeah.
Um, that took me like maybe a weekend if we don't
Wow.
count the brainstorming with
Hmm.
Luke, and because a lot of that was just putting together the entire overarching thing. And
Right.
for me going, all right, I'm going to get to work on at least the first 5 pages and figure out how to leave it on a good spot to leave it there.
Yeah.
That took like a weekend.
Hmm.
After I think that's even after like sending it to Luke, going,
Hmm.
you get to be the editor this time. You get the final approval because I'm the one that's writing it, and I won't edit my own. It would defeat the purpose if I was my own editor, because I'm going to approve. I love everything I write. I'm going to approve all of it. Like,
Right. Exactly.
But and then the rest of it took well, clearly a lot longer. It's a lot more pages, but
Yeah.
also I had to figure out, okay, well, this first 5 pages make a great teaser.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, where do I go from here? Where do I want the actual end of this book to be?
Yeah.
How do I want it to be? And then I need to figure out how to get there.
Right.
Um, and so I'm actually still, because we are
Mm-hmm.
funding.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm actually still going to go back. I got
Mm.
slowed down by the coof, but going to go
Right.
back and
Right.
after talking with Luke and edit some more of the
Mm-hmm.
story and try to rewrite it where its pacing is a even better. Um, because since it's they've got a mystery to solve,
Yeah.
so there was like some action, then there was some sciencing,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's like some kind of clue hunting going on, and so it feels kind of slow, the pacing, because it's not super actiony. They're looking at stuff and
Yeah.
things like I'm going to go back and try to put a little more action in
Mm-hmm.
there, see if we
Yeah.
can make the clue hunting a little more actiony.
Right. Right.
um uh, so technically I'm still working on that.
Mm-hmm.
Drawing Rift Riders. The turnaround when we went to Dillard was
Yeah.
pretty fast. We had him do like we showed him the 5 pages, the 5 page
Mm.
script, and was like, "Can you do like 2 of these pages? Pick whichever ones, but do like 2 of these pages so we could see the art style that you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking
Yeah.
before we do it." And we loved it, and so he was pretty fast on that. And the
Right.
colors had a decent back and forth. But Luke says Luke's pretty confident that as long as if we get funded,
Mm-hmm.
the book itself should be done and shipping
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
February. So
Right.
that's in a couple months. So I'm like, all right, well, you're the one that put that date on there, man. You're the fulfillment guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't freak me out. Yeah, I'm actually going to while we're trying to fund. That gives me
Right.
time to mess with the script up until
Yeah.
we fund, and then
Oh. Oh yeah. Right.
even if we go in demand,
Mm-hmm.
we're giving Dillard the rest of the stuff.
Right. 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 Uh. Evidently, Wheezy is Louise Simonson. I didn't know that. Awesome. Uh, I like Louise. I like Wheezy's writing very much. Squeaky puts her vote in for the first incarnation for Teen Titans. She's eating dinner right here next to me.
Right? That was good stuff. That was a
Yeah, it was
kids
definitely.
aimed cartoon that I enjoyed.
Mhm.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
hoping to get out of Rift Riders. Rift Riders isn't going to shy away from
right.
any themes that manage to come up. There's
Mhm.
going to be a lot of themes that are taking responsibility for the consequences of your own
Right.
actions.
Right.
Because they're going to find out
Mhm.
some stuff about each other, even, and
Yeah.
they're going to have to face uh, their past decisions and stuff.
Well, that's the thing that I think is missing from children's fiction a lot today is that coming of age aspect. It's almost like they don't want kids to come of age. And one part of coming of age is when you lose all the things that misconceptions you had about the world, see how it really works, and then like reassess yourself and
Yeah.
find out who you really are, uh and so one thing about boys in particular is that this is a proven fact. I'm not like talking out my butt here, but girls kind of they mature kind of like with their body, they mature, and but for boys it's an achievement that they have to like achieve it. It's like they have to have to earn adulthood, and
Earn
so
the right to be called a man.
right to be called a
Yeah.
man. That's why so many cultures have that rite of passage, that rite of manhood. uh
Yes.
and emotionally, boys have to be tested, learn their limits, and break through those limits to become adults. And so when you see a lot of this fiction, and it's obviously, you know, women who basically want to infantilize their kids, or, you know, that write these things, and you find that they're like, the women are taking the lead, and women are like making all the decisions. Women are like, you know, or the girls are like the ones that are like, you just stay a boy and I'll take care of this, right?
I was about to say, you hush now. We decide when you get to be a man.
Right. We'll decide when you're gonna be a man, right? So you know, you see like this old fiction, the old model where, yeah, the girls had more maturity than the boys at the start, but at the end of the, you know, the boys like achieve it, and at the end of it, the boy is like more like the leader, you know. And you see this a lot in like earlier fictions. It's stuff that from a few years ago that still holds up. But you know, this modern stuff where, for the sake of feminism, they've completely neutered the boys, built the
Yeah.
girls up into being like the leaders and everything, and it's just backfired in the culture in a big way. Uh, Hold on one second. We're getting some talking over here. I must have hit a nerve. Hey guys,
Hello.
what's going on? Memes of destruction. uh, the girls mature faster emotionally because most of their battles are psychic and one of the mind. Boys don't get the subtler nuances of that. Some men don't ever catch on to it. Right, right. I agree with that. This is what ruined Adventure Time. It got popular, and then you can actually see the point where Finn became useless, and the shows were about getting saved by the princesses.
Yeah.
Right, right. Men and boys, the battle tends to be physical.
So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
actually, psychiatrists,
Hmm.
psychologists have figured this out that
Yeah. Yeah.
girls mature faster, kind of
Right.
socially,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the skills that they are working on develop the most.
You
So
don't see girls living in their parents' basement into adulthood. You rarely, if ever, see that. The
true.
reason why is because boys have to achieve coming up those stairs and going out into the world. And the ones that aren't allowed to do that, they'd be either infantilized by their mothers or ones that have retreated into the family home to stay away from that. They always have like their little nest where they have all their safe stuff, and they don't retreat out into the world. They don't like meet people. They don't do anything. They play on games online and troll people on social media, you know. And it's a whole entire generation that's pretty much become that. And and you know, and that's the reason why Jordan Peterson scares them so much. Folks, Jordan Peterson's like, make your bed, get out of the basement, go out into the sunlight. Put down the controller, go out in the sunlight.
Get
I,
your shit together.
Together,
See, now
yes,
here's the cool
yes.
part that because I know they love using the playing the video games thing, and
Right,
it's like,
right.
think about how much easier it's going to be playing video games in your own place, where you don't
Mhm.
have your parents telling you to turn it down or interrupting you every 5 seconds, even though you told them you can't pause because it's online.
Right.
Like playing video games in your own place where you can
Yeah.
play them as much as you want. Nobody's gonna. This is so satisfying.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, I have a 49-year-old stepbrother who's still living in mama's basement. So I know this from experience.
Well, a lot of it is like, the economy itself is not a great one
No.
to just throw yourself out there
Well, the thing that got him
anymore.
out of it, the thing that got him out of the basement and out into society was usually going to college. But
Yeah.
because colleges have become this toxic no male zone, where men have to like jump through hoops and be terrified that a girl is going to mistaken the look that they gave them. And
Yeah.
because of the Title IX stuff that's just been abused so
And
much.
then it's the price of
Yeah. Yeah.
college versus my dad was able to put himself through college with a
Mhm.
part-time job mowing lawns.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, I
Days
can't
are
even
over.
imagine if I could do that.
Those
That'd be
days are
awesome. I would have a
over.
master's right now and like so many degrees. I'd have degrees in everything.
Right. Let me see. Jeez Louise, we got behind over here. All right. Then they debuted Fiona and Cake, and that was a replacement for Finn and Jake.
Oh
Oh, okay.
man, I didn't
Right.
even know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute in the beginning and dropped off pretty fast.
Right. Right. I forgot why I clicked the bell. Now I know. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. That was the end of the show. Right. Right. Empyrean, Zero, Piper, and Luke. Yeah. All right.
Aw.
Here we go. Well, that young woman would want to. What young woman would want to live in the basement? Well, women don't have to live in a basement because there's always going to be a guy willing to pay their way. Let's face it. I mean, is there anything wrong with that statement?
No,
Okay. All
it's a
right.
lot easier to get out of your family's house. I think when you're a chick,
Yeah. Right.
it's just unfair like that. It's just titty privilege. I know when I hit 16, my mom was trying to she was like, "Cool, get a job, get out," and I'm like, "I'm 16, not 18, mom. Just hold the hell on. Holy shit."
Well,
Damn.
women tend to push daughters out of the house.
Yeah, man. They're like, get the fuck out.
Yeah. They keep the boy. The sons can live there forever.
Right? They'll
Yeah,
keep the
girls.
sons and
They'll kick the girls out in a heartbeat. That's usually why. Anyway, it's like hey there memes. All right. Now Mrs. X memes lived in her mom's basement. Now X Mrs. Means lived in her mom's basement. Oh, okay. Is that why she's X? Anyway, incels, yeah, there you go. Man, I worry about my basement dwelling son. He just turned 20. I feel bad for him as long as he's working and paying rent. I guess I can't complain. Yeah,
as long
yeah.
as he's not stagnating there.
As long as he's
spinning his
growing.
wheels.
Yeah, yeah, it's okay. Have you ever kissed a girl? Or have you ever even kissed a girl? William Shatner sketch SNL. Imperium may have been compared to Princess Bubblegum. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what that kind of. I've heard. Oh, hold on. I've heard some kids today not even wanting the driver's license. Yeah. Yep. That blows my mind. Me too.
It's true.
Yeah.
My son's dad
Mm-hmm.
wanted me to get a driver's license, and I was going to do all of the driving, and he just didn't want one. I am so happy for how excited my son is he turns 18
right
next year, and he is so hyped that he's going nuts, going, "Mom, will you take me to the bank so I can get my own account yet? Will you help me get my own ID right now? Can you help me get a learner's permit? Like, hurry the hell up." And I'm like, all right, slow down. You're still 17 and this stuff costs money. Slow it down a little.
Right. Slow your roll.
But at the same time, I'm like,
I like where you're
happy.
headed.
Like, I'm so happy to hear it because, that means that he wants to be ready. And so that feels good.
Yeah. As long as you empower them to make those choices, make those decisions, and take that initiative, I mean, that's really valuable just to do that. And one part, the way you do that, especially young men, is you give them the right books and the right stories to read. That how allows them to have that ambition, and to feel that, that heroism, that's innate heroism that's within them, and that's why you got to leave it in your children's fiction, your kids' fiction. I mean,
do not baby. Well, baby your babies, but do not baby your kids. Again, though, if you are specifically like, I am writing this just for kids, I don't care if the parents enjoy it or not, because this is just for kids. Generally, stuff like that is for like almost preschool age, like kindergarten age, first grade, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And again, that's when you need to make sure you understand the purpose of your book before you write it. And is this an educational book? Is this going to be like, I'm making up a little fairy tale, but it's going to have like a moral of the story?
Right.
You need to know that before you start, because if your book is directionless, then as they learn how to read, they're going to get so done with your book real quick.
Right.
Because it's going to be like Teletubbies. There's no direction. It's just a bunch of bright colors and sounds at you, but written form.
Let's just say Harry Potter is a good example of this. Okay. Is Harry, he starts out being this despised kid stuck in the cupboard, who's unwanted, that nobody wanted him, and he's told he's not special most of the days of his life. He's basically servitude to his cousin. And then he gets told, you're a wizard, you're exceptional, you're special. Goes through the wizarding world, finds out that he's a rock star.
Yeah.
You know, but then that plays with his head. But then he eventually kind of like resolves the two, the kid in the cupboard and the rock star, and becomes Harry Potter. And it all happens in the first book. But they didn't shy away from death. They didn't shy away from danger. They didn't shy away from him acting like a brat and making Hermione cry. They didn't shy. She didn't shy away from any of that. And what you get is a book that changed the generation. And that's right up there with Lord of the
they picked a good actor for that. Harry Potter. What's really neat is if you manage to grow up as Harry Potter was being written and released, the books grew with you.
Yeah, they did.
So, like, if you started writing around 8 years old, by the time the next one came out, you had grown with the characters.
Right.
So you were still in their age group, going through your own personal growing pains of similar school life BS.
Yeah.
Percy Jackson books are really good too.
Yeah.
That's something else. Like my son had Harry Potter and the Percy Jackson books. He loved those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, I identified with it because I was living with an aunt and uncle who didn't want me, and I was an orphan kid. So I picked it up. I was like, I'm Harry Potter, I just need to find that platform and get into Hogwarts, So that saved my life. That book series saved my life. It really did.
It took the movies for me. Yeah. When I was a kid, my dad gifted me the first 2 Harry Potter books.
Mm-hmm.
He's always giving us books. That's like his go-to. So I was like, and I'm looking at the drawing on the cover, not gonna lie. And I'm like, oh, this is dorky as hell. This is for dorks. I'm not a dork. I'm cool. I'm too cute for this. This is a little kid book. Nah. And then I made a shoot. I think they made the first announcement that there was going to be a Harry Potter book. And I was like, wait,
the movie?
The movie. And I was like, oh, wait, for real? This isn't because I just thought my dad just found this and thought, oh, yeah, this is dorky. Let's,
Right.
And I was like, oh, is this book popular? And my best friend at the time, she was like, yes, I have like all these. So at first, here's what I did. Actually, I think she talked about liking the books. I gave her my copies of the first 2 because she didn't have them. And I guess the 3rd was coming out or something. And so I was still uninterested, but it was like, my friends heard of this.
Right.
Okay. Right. Well, you can have it. But I do think it was around the time the movie came out that she was basically like, want me to lend you those books you gave me so that you can actually read them.
Right.
She's like, because you're missing out. She got me into reading. Like, she was a bookworm and I wasn't.
Right.
And she turned me into one. So she got me to read my own Harry Potter books. And I was like,
you can't have them back. You can't have them back.
This is baby stuff. No, I still gave them back. Fair square. But I ended up buying the collection later. Yeah. And then my son took that.
Awesome.
But
awesome.
It got to the point where I caught up and me and her were both waiting for like the second to last book.
Yeah.
Together, like all hyped.
Right. When it came out, right.
Yeah.
Let me see. Harry Potter's originally targeted 8-year-old boys. Great example. We targeted the target changed as he wrote new volumes. Yep. Daniel Radcliffe, the greatest actor of our times. Right. Those Percy Jackson books, same deal. Yeah. Percy Jackson books were real good. Excellent speech, Bunny. I appreciate it. You're a wizard, Bunny. Oh well. I appreciate it. Let's see. I went out and bought all those books because all the people in the Boise area wanted them banned from the library because of alleged Satanism. I had to get them read them to see for myself. That's the reason I read them. I was rebelling by reading them. But once I read them, I was like,
satanic kids' books.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't shy away from anything. They just didn't put in the stuff that was unnecessary.
No, they didn't. I actually discovered the Harry Potter books when I was in the Army. They were getting passed around the barracks at Fort Meade. Yeah. Yeah. Rowling was super clever, combining all the old fairy tales and myths with their own unique spin on them. Great books. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All these books your niche, or will you branch out? That's a question for you.
Oh, I definitely am going to branch out.
Mm-hmm.
There's one storyline I want to do next, and it's for my VTuber because
Ah.
I think it would be neat if a virtual like anime girl sold her own book, like went around and
Oh,
promoted her own book.
that's
So it's going
clever.
to be her lore basically
Mm-hmm.
in the storm of it, and it's going to be closer to manga. That one,
Oh, okay.
in feel, in style, and this and that. That one will probably be able to be all ages,
Mm-hmm.
but there's another sci-fi I want to do that I've been
Oh,
sitting
okay.
on a long time, and it touches stuff that's not gonna be all. I don't think I'd be able to advertise it
Mm-hmm.
as all ages if I touch on some of the stuff
Right.
that it's gonna have. So it
Mm-hmm.
would definitely depend on the parent, but I would
Yeah.
probably say like teen and up, which is
Mm-hmm.
Peregrine. Peregrine's teen and up.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. All right. You're lucky though. My mom banned me from Harry Potter because she thought they worship Satan or worship the devil. Kill a Mockingbird and Tom Sawyer were okay though.
Mm.
Yeah, Tom Sawyer is definitely a real good, example you should follow, right? As a kid. Yeah, there you go. Little con artist, right? Right. Aaron Jordan, go buy the series and read them. Yeah, he
Yeah,
probably
I would.
already has.
Those are
He
ones
probably
that I'd
has.
be like, look, I'd suggest to adults if you're into
Mhm.
like at least anything like fantasy,
Yeah.
D&D. Like I would still go
Well,
read them.
I will say this: she's not a good writer, but she's an incredible storyteller. I always tell that to people because technically she's not that good of a writer, but she's an incredible storyteller and a world builder. She's an amazing world
Yeah,
builder, and 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 when you because you're going to run into a lot of adverbs and things like that are like not very good writing, but these characters are vivid. They're vibrant. The dialogue is there, and she just built that world just beautifully, beautifully.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I know the story and everything. I just all caught up. All right. All right. Anyway, thank you for coming on, Piper. It's kind of last minute, but I just wanted to cover this topic. Tomorrow night, the Love Stream is actually moving to Saturday nights. We're going to do a soft reboot of the Love Stream. It's going to be on at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to basically why I love the Genesis crew. I'm going to go through each membership, what the projects they're involved in, and I've got a trivia I'm working on for people that are in the Genesis crew to see how well they know their fellow crewmates. So you're exempt for that, Copper. Should you show up?
Ooh.
Having just come through the door, but you might know some of them since you're involved so heavily with it.
Not.
But Aaron's like, he's gonna make it weird. Of course, I'm gonna make it weird. I always make it weird. That's what I do. Anyway, so that's on for tomorrow night. Thank you, Piper. Rift Riders, the link I posted it just earlier. Just go up, scroll up, you'll find it. The second link, not the first one. The first one don't work, but second link. And check it out. It looks great. And back it if you haven't. I highly suggest it. Anyway, if you haven't, like and subscribe to this channel, Telepathic Bunny Comics. The link to that channel, if you're in a different, we're simulcasting, so if you're in a different chat, you'll need to click on that to get to Telepathic Bunny Comics. It's pinned at the top. And just go ahead once you get there, like and subscribe if you like this content. We are writer centric, story centric, and we talk about all these subjects and about how to improve and how to escape the bad writing of today. And if you like that topic, then this is the channel for you. Anyway, so that has been Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics. This has been Miss Piper Steed, Piper's Adventure. Check her out on her links below in the description. And that's all we got for the night. Y'all have a good evening. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Tell me what's on your mind.